We have already had the agenda set. We have had our conversation, and now to take this forward, we'll be having a panel discussion.
And a privilege to speak about disruption to innovation, and it's a hot topic that is doing the circles and rounds globally as well. My presentation with a quote. The quote is, change is inevitable. The disruption it causes often brings inconvenience and opportunity. This is a quote from Robert Scoble. Our thinking drives our focus and action. So if we think inconvenience, our focus and action move towards inconvenience. And if you think about opportunity, our focus and action moves towards opportunity. So if you're thinking disruption is an opportunity for us, and that's something that we would definitely like to work on. So I see a connection and a similarity between disruption and innovation, where disruption is an action, whereas innovation is a process. Disruption changes the traditional way an industry or a market operates using new methods or technology, whereas innovation brings in about a change using new ideas, methods, solutions to make a positive impact and deliver extensive value. Organizations adopt various strategies of innovation to grow as well as attain leadership globally. So disruption is a term coined by the Harvard Business School professor Clayton Christensen, and the purpose of disruptive innovation is to challenge and disrupt established businesses. The purpose of sustainable innovation is to sustain higher profits. And that's primarily like what we are talking about. And generally, the model that Clayton Christensen created is to leverage technology to advance and sustain existing markets, or leverage technology to adopt and disrupt markets, innovating on a continuous or a discontinuous basis, or look at evolutionary versus revolutionary, incremental or radical innovation, or we are talking about breakthrough innovation or a game-changing way. So that's primarily what his model is about. And today, if you look at, most of the startups wants to do disrupt. They want to disrupt existing businesses through disruptive innovation. And that's exactly why you have so many unicorns that are born every other day and globally too. And India is possibly third in the list of startup capital, or whatever it is, the maximum number of startups that are happening across the world. And that's exactly what this hub is all about. Now, organizations which adopt a disruption innovative model leverage what we call as using three components of it. So enabling technology is one of the major components. The second component is an innovative business model, and the third one is a coherent value network. Organizations can use a combination of these, or they can use all the three as well. And if you look at some of these organizations which have done major disruptive innovation, like the Airbnbs of the world, or maybe the Amazons of the world, or maybe if you look at the Ubers of the world, or whatever it is, they've used maybe all the three as well. And the types of disruption that they have done are primarily in two categories. Either the disruption is low-end disruption, or it is a new market disruption. So typical startups fall into the first category, which is primarily a low-end disruption because they're always short of resources. With limited resources, they want to disrupt large businesses. So that's typically how startups move into a curve of scale up and then like become sustainable companies and become unicorns or whatever it is, right? That's primarily what the curve is. This is primarily a report that I wanted to show you from McKinsey. Sorry about the slide transitions. So this is primarily a research and insights from the McKinsey's Global Institute, which is primarily talking about a set of sectors which are making a huge AI impact, both in terms of total impact, in terms of percentage impact, as well as a dollar impact in terms of numbers. And if you look at retail, travel and transportation and logistics, CPG, healthcare, BFSI are sectors which are making a lot more higher impact as compared to some of the other industry sectors. Now, if you look at our own report from NASSCOM, which is primarily a report which is published recently on AI Adoption Index, it highlights primarily a lot of interventions in terms of functions by sectors, and the 4 sectors which have adopted AI the highest, and they are the leading sectors, are primarily BFSI, industrial and automotive areas, retail and CPG, and healthcare as sectors which have taken a lot of investments, and they've done a lot of interventions across the adoption of AI in India. Now, if you look at the same report, which is from NASSCOM, it has published an automation index, AI adoption index, and it rates the entire country at 2.45 on a scale of 4, which is extremely high if you look at. And there are close to about 35% of companies who are at an expert level in terms of adoption and maturity, and 3% are already evangelists, which is a very high number if you compare globally. If you also look at a report that has been published by PwC, which is primarily an AI analysis, sizing and pricing the AI market globally. If you look at by 2030, there's going to be a huge GDP impact across countries, and this is something which PwC has stated by saying it's going to be a huge impact using AI and automation by the world. Some other interesting insights that you can look at in terms of reports that are published from various organizations, starting from market size to productivity to job creation, because I'm not talking about job displacement here, I'm talking about job creation, and the global economic impact in terms of adoption, including some of the senior leaders thinking of generative AI. So that's something that we get to see. And the sectors which are actually taking the lead are the core sectors in our industry as well. And what does it mean to talent? The moment we talk about increased adoption of AI and a high maturity of AI adoption index across the country, across all the sectors that are contributing to the economy of a country. The increased adoption of AI and the kind of demand-supply gap, the AI talent, it is going to further widen. And currently, if you look at, India is ranked number 2 across the Americas, Europe, and the APAC, and we are ranked number 1 in terms of AI talent, in terms of availability, which is something which is extremely a proud moment for our country, and I think we should all be proud by saying, yeah, India has been producing AI talent, and we are in the forefront of innovation globally too. Now, if you look at the kind of gap that exists today, and it is going to widen further, because if you look at the kind of gap that exists, US, the gap is the highest today, because a lot of technology companies based in AI are in the US, and they are primarily in the forefront of innovation, followed by China and maybe in India, right? And if you look at the kind of gap that exists, and over the last decade or so, and maybe in the last 3 years, you see a lot of American companies and technology companies globally moving their global capability centers, or GCCs, to India, right? So the gap that you see in the US will become a wider gap for India, because those GCCs are going to get located in India, right? And our challenge in terms of producing talent and AI talent to possibly fulfill our own needs, plus the needs of some of the global companies which are going to be based in India, the GCCs or global capability centers will definitely innovate on AI and automation. And how do we bridge this particular gap? Currently, like if you look at, there are institutions which are producing what we call as the STEM talent, and we definitely need to accelerate this. In addition to a set of things that the governments are creating policy frameworks specifically in alignment with the kind of trying to address the demand and the supply kind of gap. And I would like to talk about one such initiative taken by the government of Telangana. And I would definitely like to applaud and acknowledge the kind of effort which is taken by this visionary government by creating an ecosystem, right? Creating an ecosystem of support for innovation. And I would definitely like to thank our partners, and we are very proud to partner with T-Hub and Task for ITTL'23. And I have never seen a state having an AI mission, and Telangana has an AI mission. And I have never come across this, which is primarily in the forefront of innovation, and government leading this initiative is something which is extremely heartening. And I would possibly urge most of the state governments possibly to look at what Telangana government is doing and possibly like make an impact in their own cities and states as well. What is it that we are doing? We are doing our bit with MyAnatomy, and we have an ethical and a responsible AI. It's an AI-driven tech platform helping the industry and the institutions in discovering the anatomy of AI talent through our recruitment as service as a platform, and developing an AI and an automation talent or an analytics talent through learning as service. This is something that we are making as a contribution in terms of looking ahead to produce AI talent so that India could become potentially the AI capital of the world. I would like to conclude with a quote. I think it also like got reinforced in the earlier speaker. I would like to talk about the Darwin's quote, which is also something which is a coincidence, and I had already planned it in my presentation, but it came in prior to my speech. So it primarily says the strongest of the species survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change is the one which is going to make a difference, significant difference to all of us as well. So I would like to say, let's adopt Darwinism to survive, sustain, thrive in the disruption era, and it's a significant opportunity for all of us. And we have put together the government, industry, institutions, the startup ecosystem, and the skilling companies together on one single platform so that we could create an agenda for future so that India becomes a destination and an AI capital for the world, right? Thank you very much, and that is something that I had to share. And I would quickly move on to the panel discussion. And before I talk about the panel discussion, I would like to introduce the panel speakers. Mr. Shrikant Sinha, who is the CEO of Telangana Academy of Skill and Knowledge. Distinguished career spanning about 3 decades, Mr. Sinha is a dedicated leader known for his commitment to various impactful causes. His visionary leadership extends into tech for good in terms of sphere where he actively works to bridge the digital divide and promote grassroots innovation. In his role as a CEO at the task, he not only showcases his professional achievements but also exemplifies profound belief in the transformative potential of technology and collaboration and an inclusive development. His leadership serves as a testament to his dedication to driving change and making a meaningful difference to the society and the community. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Shrikant Sinha and please join us on stage, sir. Dr. Nikhil Agrawal, CEO of SIIC, CEO of Artificial Intelligence and Innovation-Driven Entrepreneurship, IIT Kanpur. Introducing Dr. Agarwal, he is India's foremost startup innovation and policy expert. Dr. Agarwal has diverse and global experience from consulting to professional education to advisory to Fortune 500 companies and multinationals, governments, academia, and think tanks across the world. And he's also worked with venture capitalists across North America, Europe, India, and Australia. Dr. Agarwal has led as a CEO and director and held positions with government, universities, multinational corporations, and has been a vice chairman and advisor to FICCI and an advisor to some of the global organizations like WABAF and UN Global Alliance. And it's also important for the audience to know that Dr. Agarwal is also a co-recipient of Guinness World Record in Taekwondo. So join me in applauding Dr. Agarwal. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us for the session today. Introducing Mr. Subramaniam Yadavali, CEO at Apollo Hospitals, a passionate leader, a synergist in healthcare, and a remarkable journey of over 3 decades. His best CEO of the year, India in 2018, is a testimony to his proven track record of being a successful leader, and his education and exposure at leading Indian and international universities has helped him pioneer inspiring innovations and strategic initiatives at Apollo. His journey embodies leadership, innovation, and unwavering commitment to a healthier world. He is also a trusted board member of Medversity. So join me in applauding Mr. Subramaniam Medavali, CEO of Apollo Hospitals, Hyderabad. Now, my fourth panelist is Mr. Satyendra Pasalpudi, Managing Director of Infolab Solutions India. Introducing Mr. Pasalpudi, a visionary technologist with over 2 decades of experience working across the globe and has been a catalyst of change and transformation. With a unique blend of business expertise and cutting-edge tech prowess, he has bootstrapped innovations in platform engineering, cloud, and big data. He was the director, platform engineering services at Oracle, and also the past president of All India Oracle Users Group before starting his venture Infolab. His career journey embodies technology leadership, experiences from large multinational corporations and renowned Indian companies as well. He's been a speaker, a thought leader, and an influencer, having led AIOUG for over 2 decades in terms of the user group for Oracle. And please join me in applauding Mr. Subramaniam. My next panelist I'm going to introduce is Mr. Vishal Mani, MD of Nemetschek and India. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Mr. Vishal Mani, a luminary in building lifecycle solutions and AEC software, currently serving as a managing director of Nemetschek India. With over 2 decades of experience, he's been a driving force in delivering global expertise solutions and enterprise solutions, establishing offshore software delivery centers in India. Beyond the boardroom, Mr. Mani is an avid speaker, a thought leader, a captivating, and he is specialized in captivating audience at major conferences worldwide, and his experience in IT-enabled business processes and SAP systems is something which is going to definitely add immense value here. I would like to invite Mr. Shantikumar Chilmala, Director, Workforce Planning and Management, EPAM Systems, a seasoned professional with a remarkable career spanning about 25 years. With an impressive background, Mr. Shantikumar boasts about 21 plus years of valuable IT experience, a staggering 35 years of rich cultural and arts exposure. His outstanding contributions have not gone unnoticed, as he is a proud recipient of numerous awards at state and national and international levels. Mr. Shantikumar is diverse expertise and accolades make him a standout figure at both corporate as well as cultural spheres. Thank you, gentlemen, for taking your valuable time to join for the panel discussion. And it's a pleasure, it's a privilege and an honor to moderate this discussion. Disruption to innovation and how AI and automation is impacting talent management. And that's the topic of the discussion. What is the impact of disruption from AI and automation technologies for the industry? And I would urge Dr. Nikhil Agarwal to get started first.
So 1989, many of you know, there was a very seminal article written by Clayton Christensen about disruptive innovation. And there's a first time in 1989, this Harvard Business School article which mentioned about disruptive innovation. The concept of disruptive innovation came into the picture. And since then, disruptive innovation has seen many changes. So what's the meaning of this disruption? When the disruption happens, how it comes, and number of large organizations not able to see that disruption. One of the best examples I always give is the mobile phone. The new iPhone which I have recently ordered, which has not costed me my kidney, but certainly a lot of money. I have requested one of my friend from US to bring it. The iPhone is sold on a camera. The phone was meant to call someone. That is an iPhone, that's a phone, any kind of phone. But today the phone are meant for a camera, for a selfie, for sending a message or finding something, and you can also make a call. These kind of disruption, when the disruption started happening in the phone space, one of the largest companies in the world, Kotak, is not able to see it. They said the cameras are there to stay, the phones are a passe. Phones are meant to call each other. Where is Kodak now? The Kodak is gone. Similarly, the other number of such examples exist. MySpace came and the Facebook was just a small company. MySpace said that Facebook is only to upload the photographs. And now where the Facebook is not just the Facebook, but the Facebook's ecosystem. If you look at WhatsApp, if you look at Instagram, if you look at the disruption they are creating in the metaverse, that ecosystem has changed completely. The another great example is of AOL, American Online. They were the leaders in email. 1995, my friend for the first time went to US and he created an email ID for me. That email ID still works. It's called Hotmail. At that time, Shabir Bhatia sold the Hotmail to Microsoft for $400 million. Even today, I don't know how many zeros has $400 million. So that time, like 20, 25 years back, he has changed. And I said, what's absurd? Why something is called Hotmail? It looks very absurd as far as the Indian culture is concerned. But it's now very well adopted. Now, where is that Hotmail? Where is that AOL? Now everything is Gmail. Everything is something. So there is disruptive technology comes in and suddenly the things start changing. Generative AI, which is people spoke a lot about since morning about whether it's hallucinate or something, is all about that somebody you are. So if you look at the whole concept of outsourcing, so Americans were outsourcing the job to Indians and to Filipinos for the voice calling. But now what we are doing, we are outsourcing our job to number of supercomputers, which is try to generate an context for us. Now there is a company which I met last week. They said that we generate AI profiles to train our new AI engine. Now that is fascinating, that the people don't exist. The kind of profiles they are generating will be fed into the new AI engine, so the new AI engine can make right predictions. Now a lot of people, in fact, morning, including Jay Garu and the MSR, both spoke about that the jobs will be lost because of AI. With all due respect, sir, I would like to differ a little bit. When the phone came, they said that there will be no calling jobs. Like, you remember the PCOs, good old PCOs? ISD PCO. What has happened? Those jobs are lost, but new jobs are created. Now that's where the task of the skilling centers, education institution comes in. You need to reskill. If you don't reskill, then you will be lost. India has a $500 million people who are ready to be skilled. And we can become a talent superhouse for the world. So something which we have lost number of times. India has a bad habit of losing in technology that we lost out when the whole tech boom was happening. We are a service provider, we know, but we are not a product provider. Today the AI boom is happening. In the future, metaverse boom will happen. Can we become the leader in AI? Can we start driving the force from India? That's the question we need to ask. So I'll stop here. I really like the way people are talking about startups. India has 150,000 startups, but can we add one more zero to the startup ecosystem? Can we become 15 lakh startup? It's not about the incremental innovation. We have to do disruptive innovation. And I'll strongly recommend reading a Clayton Christensen book about the disruptive innovation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So my second question is about what were the challenges and the impact of transformational change moving from a traditional systems to an AI and automation? I would request Mr. Subramaniam, because healthcare is one of the core sectors and it is also in the forefront of adopting AI and automation in a very big way as well. So being one of the biggest brands in healthcare, I would like to understand from Mr. Subramaniam in terms of what are some of the initiatives and how did you make this kind of a switch from a traditional set of systems to AI and automation?
Thank you, Mr. Ganesh. Thanks for introducing me for this panel. And also I thank the organizers, ITTL, for inviting us for this panel discussion, beautiful panel discussion. First of all, I'm actually very, very conscious. I'm in front of very young crowd, and besides me, there is a karate champion, world karate champion. So that's something very, very, very interesting for me. Healthcare. When I was actually talking to Mr. Srinivas Rao Garu, the CEO of T-Hub, he was showing me one article saying that whether AI replaces CEOs. So that's what he showed me before I got onto this thing. So luckily so far they have not replaced me. I hope I'll continue for some more years. If you the question you have asked, Mr. Ganesh, is from a traditional to what we are going in. I will talk to you only about the medical industry. AI has definitely helped a lot because the healthcare professionals are very, very less. We have that gap between the number of beds we require versus number of people available to treat them. So AI plays a very, very vital role in this particular thing. It won't replace anybody. In fact, it has given lot of opportunity to reskill our people to get into newer things. But no, this particular disruption has definitely helped a lot in predictive analysis. We are now able to tell that, in next 10 years, when somebody is likely to get a risk scoring, likely to get a heart attack, and what are those preventive things he should be able to take. Is there a possibility of a small cell which we miss in a mammogram, which can potentially become a breast cancer later? The AI will be able to tell us, no, hey, these are the things, which we need to look at this. Machine learning can help us in that. There are a lot of areas which has helped us in remote monitoring of patients, in, treating patients remotely through this particular tool. So it's a great journey, but healthcare is such, we need to coexist both. So I don't think the disruption will replace people, but I think it will give lot of opportunities for us to grow further. When we started Apollo hospitals, there was no hospital. But today, if you really look at, there are thousands of hospitals serving our people in Bharat. So that's very good. So this tool is definitely going to help us. And this disruption which has happened from a traditional, health is always traditional. You still require a doctor, you still require a nurse, whatever comes, these two are very important. But it will enable the doctor to take a quicker decision. It will enable a nurse to track the patient monitoring system much faster. She can track more early signs, in ICUs and, in rooms, so that we can treat patients much more faster. It can enable us to identify the disease patterns. So this is a great journey. I think we are very, very happy that we are in this era.
Thank you, sir. My next question is about, are the insights from AI and automation technologies are driving decisions on innovation? I would request Mr. Srikanth Sinha, because you are a part of policy making, you are a part of the government of Telangana, and you put in a mission, an AI mission for Telangana, the state, and also taking the lead for other states to follow as well. I would like to understand from your perspective, what insights prompted Telangana to take the lead and then create an ecosystem like this?
Sure. Thank you. And thanks to the organizers, especially Chinmay, for inviting me and helping me share some of my views. Probably what I would also like to talk about is, before I move to that, I think I need to ask ChatGPT to create my LinkedIn profile for me, because unfortunately I've not updated it for 4 years, and that's why it talks about me as a champion for tech for good, etc., which is my previous profile as the CEO of NASCOM Foundation. Another thing which I'd also like to mention, with due respect to the Bhisham Pitama, that's what I would prefer calling Jay Garu over here, for the IT and the innovation ecosystem itself, is that as a young faculty member many decades ago, I was given the arduous task of training people and convincing people in the banking industry. And this was late 80s that I'm talking about. Sorry if you would have guessed my age by now, then it's your problem, not mine. But yes, at that time, I was given the arduous task of convincing them that the banking industry will lose their jobs, right? Today, just give me a show of hands, how many people call it e-banking when you withdraw money from an ATM or use your phone pay or what have you, right? So I think what we need to understand is, while traditional jobs will be lost, and yes, as students, The youngsters need to understand that when they enter the college itself, it's important to understand that 60% of the jobs that you are seeing today will no longer exist, right? And that is a reality that we have to face up to, right? Is AI new to Telangana, to Andhra Pradesh, etc.? No. 1991-92, those days, what is called as ML right now, and I'll probably debate about why is it called ML and why not MT, because pets and machines get trained, right? Humans learn, and that's where there's a disconnect. But anyway, we created an expert system for Andhra Pradesh police in those days using Prolog and Lisp, which I was a part of the team which created it, for right control. So even at that time it existed, but the technology had not progressed enough. Today technology is helping everything. Now coming back to the ecosystem itself over here, I think what is most important, and I'll talk about Task for a minute and then move to the remaining ecosystem. So Task was created in 2014 when the state got bifurcated. They did a survey of about 1,400 plus organizations here, and they realized that less than 10% locals were recruited, and the people who were recruited were not up to the expectations of the industry. And that's where, as a vision of the Honorable IT Minister, under the guidance of the Honorable Principal Secretary, Task was created as an organization to help skill for employability. If some of you, our logo is there, if you have a look at our logo itself, it's a learning tree which has got a fruit on each and every branch, which means any initiative that we do has to link into an employability, livelihood, or an entrepreneurship opportunity. Now, looking at, we are sitting over here, 378,000 square feet of world's largest innovation ecosystem itself, because this is the complete one. Apart from that, we have VHub, which is over here in T-Hub. If you have an MVP, they'll help you scale up, right? And they've got a 6M2P model, etc., which MSR can talk much better than me. VHub is a woman-led entrepreneur incubation system, where even if you don't have an MVP but you have an idea, they would help you scale up. Then there is Research and Innovation Circle of Hyderabad, which is essentially, if you look at it, there are more than 50 odd institutions of national importance and international eminence, like DRDO. We have all the labs over here. We have CCMB. We have the RBI's institution over here. So how do you bring in that research that is happening over there into the startup ecosystem and the industry? So Research and Innovation Circle of Hyderabad. The fourth organization is running a program called Intenta Innovator, which is an innovator in each and every house. So they go in and identify rural innovations, etc., and look at that. The fifth organization is what you see over there, called T-Works, which is the largest prototyping center, 78,000 square feet of pure prototyping space, where you can walk in with an idea and come out with a prototype. And in fact, we are extremely proud to say that the first private rocket that was launched was incubated here at T-Hub itself. And the best part was the prototype for the rocket was created at T-Works, right? The first prototype. So that's there. And then, of course, we come into picture where we are more of creating an entrepreneurial mindset. But I think if you talk to a techie today, what they do is they use an Arduino board or a Raspberry Pi, put in a couple of IoT devices or sensors. If there is something which is to be moving, then they have smart motors, a couple of 3D parts, solution is ready. Now let me go and start looking at problems. So it's cart before the horse kind of a thing. So we look at social innovation and rural entrepreneurship, and we link it to the SDGs. So we run a program which is called as I4TS, which is purely linked with how, and it runs with a punchline, which is Samajika Avishkarnalu, Sarlamaina Jivitanki. Social innovation for simplifying lives. So that's where it is. TM, of course, whenever we come up with any kind of a policy, there has to be a framework to implement that policy. Because policy should not be 600 pages, but a readable document and an enforceable document. So TM name has been created with that purpose, right? And all this entire ecosystem is driving the innovation in the state. And that's what we call as the Telangana model.
Wow.
Thanks.
So thank you very much for that clarity of the ecosystem. My next question is about how easy or tough it is for organizations and a decision to move and adopt AI and automation. How tough or easy is it a decision for organizations to adopt AI and automation? And I would request Dr. Nikhil Agarwal to again talk about it, because and I'm sure that the large percentage of startups which are innovating and trying to do disruptive innovation are using AI and automation in a very big way as well. So I would request you to just throw some light around this in terms of how easy or tough in terms of a decision.
See, AI is important. There is no doubt about it. But you should not just jump onto the AI because everybody else is using about it. India में there is, I come from a state of Uttar Pradesh, तो थोड़ा हिंदी में बोलूँगा कि इंडिया में भेड़ चाल की आदत बहुत है. In fact, last week I went to Kashmir and I saw the hordes of bhed walking through. And I actually get out of the car and saw it कि भेड़ चाल का मतलब क्या होता है. वो मैं आपको एक्सप्लेन करता हूँ. It will be very useful for you to understand the technology jargon of why people follow each other. भेड़ चाल में जब एक भेड़ दूसरी भेड़ के पीछे चलती है, they don't, because there are so many of them, they are not able to see what is going on. So they actually follow the other one from the back, and they उसका मुंह कहीं से ऐसे निकला होता है छोटा सा, and they just follow. Now to do this disruption, you can just put the front ones to go somewhere else, and you will see another 500 of the bhed, they will go somewhere else. Now this is exactly happening probably in the AI space also. People are announcing AI companies, people are announcing AI solutions, people are announcing AI products without even knowing whether there is a market, there is a customer adoption, there is a talent available, or whether there is actually need for it. Some of the best solutions today may not need, like what Shrikant Bhai has said about the sensors and Arduino boards and all. Some of the best solutions are just mechanical solutions. You may not need a battery powered, artificially intelligent enabled, smart solution. You just need a simplistic mechanical solution. Sometimes you don't need to diagnose the best, most complicated thing. You don't need an AI, you need a good doctor. You have a certain problem with your body and you go to 10 doctors. Doctors are not able to identify it, but a good doctor with a great diagnosis will say कि भैया ये problem है. So my request to and my suggestion to all the startups who are listening is that don't go into the bhed chal of for the sake of innovation. If there is a need for innovation, do it. If there is a customer for it, do it. Because innovation also requires effort, you require money, you require expenses. Most of the companies are struggling for money because they have to spend a lot of amount of money on the talent. The talent, just because they are able to spell A and I, they become expensive. Last year we have seen the tech industry, the people with 2 or 3 years of experience were charging 20 lakhs, 25 lakhs, 30 lakh rupees. It is crazy. How do you sustain? The whole Indian ecosystem was built up on a cost arbitrage. But when we lose this, we have a high quality talent, but we don't have a customer to pay. Now the whole salary structure is crashing down. So we need to be reasonable. So find out, first suggestion to the startups would be, if they are building a new product, spend a month or 2 in understanding your customer need, whether your customer will need it or not. Most of the companies start with a solution when there is no problem. And I can give you tons of example of the startup कि सर हम बहुत बढ़िया solution लेके आए हैं. सर ये solution remarkable है. मैंने कहा problem क्या है? किसने पूछा? किसने बोला? क्यों बनाया? कोई खरीदेगा इसको? Then there is no answer. So those 3-4 questions are important. Build a solution if there is a problem. If there is a customer, then build on it. Don't just for the sake of doing it, and don't kindly follow the bhed chal of everybody has to do an AI. There will be hundreds and thousands of companies which will not do AI and which will be extraordinarily successful.
Sorry, I'm just adding 2-3 points over here, especially I'm seeing a lot of youngsters over here and startups. So to the youngsters, please don't go after learning syntax, right? Look at the fundamentals, that is most important. People don't employ you for knowing the definition of a screwdriver, but know how to use one, right? That's my message to the youngsters. Startups, if any startup is over here, and recently I've come across a lot of startups who are helping in recruitment process, correct? And some of the startups come out to us and say that we have created this fantastic AI-based model using generative AI, conversational AI, etc., where people can write excellent resumes. They will have the best resumes. And then I went to some HR heads and I asked them, would you like to go through a resume and call the guy for an interview, and once he comes up over there, you realize that, it was ChatGPT whom you need to employ and not that employee, right? So please ensure, as my friend Nikhil over here said, that what is the market? Are people actually looking for the solution? And of course, what Dr. Srinivas said, I think what we need to look at is when you're creating anything in AI, right? Look at two aspects. One is how will it reduce the time, correct? Over here, a doctor would spend hours together to analyze those things. AI models actually do it, right? Second thing is, can it bring down the cost substantially? Because there is a huge digital divide. How you can bridge that? How you can create models using large learning models, etc., what have you. Try to create models which are able to help. And as our Honorable Chief Minister always says, any technology is not a good technology unless and until it benefits the last person in your district itself. Thank you.
So my next question, last couple of questions, and after that we'll get into the concluding one as such. How has AI influenced reshaping of talent management? Now, being the head of talent management, Mr. Shanti Kumar, I would request you to throw some light on how AI and automation technologies have influenced talent management.
All right. Thank you. First of all, thanks for inviting me to this panel, and I thank you as well as Chinmay. Before I answer your question, I would like to share something. We have been talking all about how it is influencing the industry, workforce, etc., right? But more than that, AI and automation is influencing human lives a lot. Recently, when I was invited for a guest lecture for an engineering college, I was talking about the AI and automation. At the end of my lecture, one of the professors asked me a question. Because of this automation and AI, human relations are getting impacted severely. People are impatient. People are kind of not having proper human relations. Even when you are having a dinner with your family, everyone is looking at their mobile rather than talking to each other. And they are also kind of broken relationships, time is not available and all these things. So his suggestion was, we should stop innovation completely so that human relations are not broken up. So he asked my perspective. So what I told him is, first of all, no one can stop innovation. It is a continuous process, the change is inevitable and it continues to happen. But how about the other aspect, which is disrupting human relations severely? In my opinion, speed is inversely proportional to the patience. Why I am saying this is, when we were having mobile, we were very happy. Okay, we had mobile. When the 2G came, this network was faster, and when 3G came, we were happy. But if you fall back to the 2G network, damn, it is not working, it's slow. So you're becoming impatient. So as speed is increasing, we are becoming more and more impatient. If you ask your child to go and get groceries from just next street, probably he might take a two-wheeler to go get. And you might be saying that, why you're taking two-wheeler? Why can't you go walk and get it? See, in nowadays we used to talk miles and miles. Now you are kind of not having enough patience. But what I will say is, with the speed, there are tremendous benefits. As everyone is saying, speed is like improving the efficiency, accuracy, both, right? By going on a two-wheeler to a grocery store, he is saving a lot of time. And after returning back, that same time, how effectively it is utilizing is more important. So if that saved time is being utilized for proper things, of course, it's a great thing of whatever AI. So in olden days, people used to travel on bullock carts to the Kashi and all these people, right? It used to take months. And with this speed, now we have trains, super fast, even flights and everything. You can go to Kashi and come back even days. You are saving months of time. And even when I was a student, I used to go to library and spend hours and hours. Today, it is in your palm. You can search everything on mobile. So you're saving tremendous amount of time with this innovation, which is a positive sign. But how effectively you're utilizing the saved time is a big question mark, which has a kind of disruptive effect of having lack of patience. So what I would say is like inculcate patience, knowing this root cause. Suppose if your child asks something to buy, don't buy it right away. Let him wait some time. So that levels of patience need to go up. Coming to your question, which is relevant to talent management, of course, AI has a lot of disruptions, as everyone is saying that it has positives, negatives, but this will change. Suppose when we are talent management, it has two components, acquisition and existing talent management. When it comes to the acquisition, as someone said, you can filter out the resumes much quickly and much efficiently, and then what happens? People are very smart, right? Human brains are much smarter than AI, trust me. So what they will do, they will design in a resume so that it is caught by the people. I mean, that's obvious, right? When you are going to US visa interview, L1 visa is very difficult. They will ask tons of questions. Why? Because they have certain recommended guidelines and people will fill up those forms exactly what is required, and it is very difficult for someone to figure out, even for AI, whether it's genuine or not. When we are acquiring talent, when we ask to write a coding challenge question, today people are copying it from ChatGPT and answering the question. Whether the person whom you hired has enough intelligence or is simply copied. How do you shortlist? So these are all the practical challenges which we are facing today. Of course, these will be resolved down the road with much and more innovation again. And probably we will figure out today, to offset all these things, human interviews are inevitable. So we need to filter out and all these things. And you need to manage talent at the end of the day by human anyway, irrespective of AI technology. This is my answer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So coming to the readiness in terms of infrastructure, I would like to ask Mr. Satyendra, because you manage large cloud infrastructure globally, and I would like to understand from you in terms of how ready are we as a country when it comes to infrastructure on AI and automation. And specifically what I've heard is that most of our data centers are mostly CPU based, and AI infrastructure requires GPU-based infrastructure, which calls for a massive investment or whatever it is. So where do you think we are as a country? And we are talking so big about AI and skilling and everything else, but if we don't have the infrastructure, how do you think we can become the skill capital of the world?
Thanks, Ganesh. First of all, thanks to Chinmay and the MyAnatomy for giving me an opportunity. So before getting into the specific answer, when 5 years back, I was doing some research on what is this digital transformation, what exactly the organizations need, whether it's in consulting organization like ours or an Apollo Hospital or anything here like EPAM, what we're trying to do the whole world in terms of the IT or the digital transformation as such. The first and foremost is the customer engagement. What are we doing to talk about the customer engagement? That is one key area which we need to solve. All our products, services aligned to that. Second is the value proposition. What value we are giving to our investors, internal, external and all. Third is innovation, which is continuous process. It is not that today you're talking about AI, earlier we were talking about cloud, earlier we were talking about our data centers and all those things. Innovation is continuous for any organization, irrespective of whatever we are. Fourth is competition. If you are not looking at the competition and they are moving forward, you will not be in the race. Whether they are adopting AI, we have to adopt and see how we are all these key domains. And the fifth and foremost is the data. Data is very, very important because we are talking about generative AI and ChatGPT. If the large language models without the data, the answers you will not get it. And all these five key domains, innovation, data, and all those things, cloud is the fundamental thing when you talk about the cloud. And to answer your question, the beauty is we need the large language models because ChatGPT is specific with all data. We need all of us here to create for our own specific requirements, whether it's a healthcare, manufacturing, or the EPAM kind of development aspects and all. So for that, definitely I was listening to the Gartner's seminar, and they were saying that in the Gartner's hype cycle, generative AI in the last 1 decade, this is most promising, and that is going to stay for long. But to answer your question on that, how this infrastructure comes into picture, like Mr. J. Chaudhary Garu, he was with NVIDIA long back, and last year, NVIDIA was thought about this particular requirement of GPUs. They have started heavily on the GPUs, and I am a partner of Oracle, an ex-Oracle guy. So Oracle immediately picked it up. 1 year back, I see him, the CEO of NVIDIA on the stage and saying that we are partnering with the cloud provider, where the data movement between the GPUs is important, and the combination of it, and that's where, to your answer, whether it's AWS, Google, Microsoft, and Oracle, that is the solution for us to do those innovations, and companies like ours will enable those things to get there. But fundamentally, the last thing I wanted to say, because of the running of the time, I was doing a lot of research. A person from Hyderabad Public School can rule Microsoft. He's not an IITian. He's just Satya Nadella. I was listening to his books, reading, and what exactly? The first thing he said, Satya Nadella's wife gave the book called Mindset by Carol Dweck. And he was saying that, end of the day, it is the know-it-all versus learn-it-all culture. That culture should be in everybody. It's a continuous learning. And especially in the field of his, continuous learning is what we normally wanted, whether it is today generative AI, databases, or whatever it is, tomorrow something else. But continuous learning is a fundamental, and innovation is another thing. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah, right. Thank you. Mr. Vishal, you come from the IT background, having worked for SAP, and then you switch to the construction and the building management kind of industry. So what do you think AI and automation has done to your industry?
Well, I mean, I think thanks for asking me that question, Ganesh. A very particular question about my industry. So, see, when we talk about AI, and as the AI has evolved, the latest concepts of generative AI, which is capable of generating new content based on the previous historical data. Now, it is impacting my industry considerably because what we have seen is that real estate industry, the technology infusion in this industry is kind of lagging behind compared to other industries. We have seen more innovation in BFSI, manufacturing, automotive, but in real estate, it has not. I mean, still we are building the same brick by brick kind of things, right? So the innovation in this industry is comparatively less. So this gives us an opportunity. This industry has an opportunity to leverage AI to do more innovation. Now, how it is impacting is that in the entire building life cycle of any building, it basically has 3 stages: design, construct, and after that you operate and manage. And we are seeing that AI concepts are helping in almost all the 3 phases. When we talk about designs, it's a typical architect job to create 2D models, 3D models, right? Now today, there are tools available where if you define certain parameters, you give textual parameters, what kind of environment, what kind of soil, what kind of area information, building material, it can actually give you certain layouts. I'm just giving you certain use cases. So developing designs, quicker designs, rendering of images, rendering of interiors, these are the things which you can actually think at the design stage itself. When you move to the construction stage, Again, it is helping in risk mitigation, quicker planning, based on the historical data that, what could be the bottlenecks, it can give you better plans to construct buildings. Then if you move to the operate and manage segment, once a building is ready, for example, things like this, there is so much impact or rather, desire by the industry on well-being inside the building, because as most of us spend so much time in these buildings compared to outside, right? So, air quality, space optimization, CO2 levels, all these things. So there are tools which are helping the real estate managers to take better decisions, right? I mean, if, for example, if the temperature in the building is going beyond a certain limit, how does the automation triggers to control the chillers of the building to kind of control it? So in that way, I mean, this is something which is impacting my industry, very pertinent to your question. And I think, this generative AI concepts, which I said, which is new content from, either it is text, images, videos, music, I think it has capability to impact almost any industry. The only thing is that I think, as some of my panelists said, that you really need to know what you want to get out of it. I think that's where the prompt engineering comes up. And if you know your stuff, what you want to create, I think it's a great concept and can definitely bring a lot of efficiencies, and the time which you save can be utilized in moving you up in the higher value chain. That would be my thing.
Thanks, Vishal. So I would ask the last question to the panel, and this is directed at all the panel members as well. So I would ask you if there is a single incisive and an inclusive agenda for the industry, institutions, the startup ecosystems, and the skilling companies to keep pace in the race against AI and automation, what would that single agenda be? So I would like to start with Mr. Subramaniam first, and then same sequence, we will ask all the other panelists too.
I think I'll give only single answer for this. So my advice to all the startup companies, any companies, do something which will impact your society around you. When your society improves, you will automatically improve. So don't look at, to innovate something, which will be only with your system. As long as it impacts your society around you, if the society grows, you will automatically grow. So whatever AI, whichever you do, I think that is the big mantra which I want to tell.
Okay. So Dr. Nikhil Agarwal.
So kindly give me 60 seconds, just flat.
Sure.
So the single most agenda that we have to ask today is, are we ready? And I'll give you a very short story given the current context of what's happening between Israel and Gaza. I think 5-6 years back, myself and Jay Chaudhary Garu, we both went to Israel. Sir, you remember? We went to Israel together. And with the invitation of World Bank, we were the only 2 Indians in the entire group of World Bank. We were nominated and we went there. And we spent almost 6-7 days in Israel looking at the outstanding infrastructure that was created, like their cybersecurity infrastructure in this. When we came back, we told then Chief Minister Nara Chandrababu Naidu Garu, sir, if we don't do this, we will not be ready. Now today, what's happening in Israel and between Gaza, the question that I'm asking is, are we ready enough? Is not just are we ready enough? In a technology space, you cannot be ever ready enough. You need to constant go ahead. You need to constant look for technology changes, innovation which is coming in. And I think that's a mantra if you have to take it out today, that you have to ask, keep on asking. Every Monday morning you need to ask this question, ki kya hum taiyar hain? Are we ready enough? Thank you.
Mr. Sinha.
Thanks. So if we look at the decade, and that's what we are calling this entire thing for India, I think one thing that we need to realize is terms of skills, I think adaptability, agility, learnability, that is the most important thing. So that's there. Second thing is we need to realize that we are already heading towards IR 5.0, which is human interventions also coming into picture. So while telecom, 5G, 6G, etc. are there, as the base, a platform, AI also is now a similar kind of a platform which is here to stay. It has been there. And I would like to end by saying only one thing. I was having a discussion with Sophie, the first humanoid, and I was talking to David, who's the creator of Sophie. And I said, if Sir Alan Turing and Sophie were supposed to have a conversation, what would it be about? And David, without blinking an eyelid, said, endless possibilities, right? And that is what AI is able to bring, and we need to realize that how to use it, what are the use cases, etc., need to be thought about. But yes, we should also remember the age-old thing that Jay Garu and we all who were old-age programmers, garbage in, garbage out, gold in, gold out, the GIGO principle. So please ensure that your data sets, etc., that you prepare, and we should not only look at AI only for the top end. There are a whole lot of data annotation jobs available, which are there available for the districts. So let's look at each and every aspect of AI and see how we can leverage on it and create an opportunity for the youth to benefit out of it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Sutendra.
From my side, anyhow, I told the majority of it. But again, one thing I have realized working in multiple organizations and all those things is, even the enterprises or the customers, whoever, they always look for do more with less. That is not going to change whether it's an AI or whatever it is. So we have to learn how we solve the customer problems or the industry problems with less, and that's where the automation kicks in, AI kicks in and all. But one request here is we have the academia as well as the industry, the organizations to have to adopt few institutions. We go and run across the recruitment process with multiple things and all. So what we did differently is, because Jay Chaudhary garu was talking about the cost, which is increasing, which is a problem. Even Shanti Kumar garu and me were discussing, are you getting the site resource with a costly resource and how we are going to solve it? Then I said, first thing is, we have to invest on the right talent and train them at the things, at the lower talent, club with the senior talent, so that we are making a pyramid structure that is going to solve the problem. And what we did is, we went to AKNU, which is Adikavi Nanna University in Rajahmundry. We have an incubation center there, and said, these students, nobody goes there. Why don't we go and put them on second, third year, identify the talent, train our things to them so that they'll be ready. So that's where the models we need to think through, making our society better.
Well, I think a lot of panelists have spoken about the talent, the academia, and the industry. So I'll give a kind of slightly different perspective. I'll give my request or my expectation would be more from the government side now. Okay, we all understand the value which AI brings, but I think it has its own challenges, it has its own risks, and I think where we are heading to, it needs some sort of a regulatory mechanism. I think what can happen is that today the AI has the power to generate language, which in turn has the power to influence us, right? I mean, you have your politicians bringing your speeches, you have your legal advisor bringing their case studies coming out of AI models. So the AI biases can influence some of these things which can impact us in the long term. In fact, some of the use cases which we heard even about, let's say HR, the resume shortlisting. Just imagine if the AI model start giving you the resumes of a particular kind for a specific job. I mean, there were some surveys. For example, I'm not taking Indian example, but it's a US example. If you ask for a resume for a cashier in a supermarket, you get more women. Yeah? If you look for a taxi driver, you get more black men. Now, these kind of biases which can come up, and I think we need to start talking about it. So until unless we have these regulatory framework, we have to, only then we can get the best value out of it. The way we did something like nuclear energy, right? I mean, when the atomic bomb and the fission and fusion technologies were created, we were all very scared, but then the regulatory framework came in and we are able to use it for the peaceful purposes. The same thing I would say has to happen for AI, and I think it has to happen sooner than later before it starts impacting us.
Thanks, Vishal.
All right. From my perspective, as Satyendra Garu mentioned earlier, we have to be ready in certain industries, particularly in IT. You have to be ready, otherwise the competitors will take over and you are running out of business completely, right? But again, this is subject to someone else said, for the benefit of the society. That we have to keep in mind. As long as it is benefiting the society, the customer, the ultimate motive is helping someone to get benefited. If it is so, yes, it has to be there and the industry has to be ready. Whether you are ready or not, you have to force yourself to get involved for this transformation. But ultimately, boils down to one thing. It is not everything everywhere adopted, we need to adapt. It's location driven, it's culture driven, and several factors do influence these transformational change, and we need to consider all these aspects and make a right decision. Thank you.
So thank you very much for all the agenda points. So let me just summarize by saying, so we start with the society, so the impact to the society and what is it that we can do to the society to improve. Everything is what we started with, and then we said, are we ready on a continuous basis or not? So it's a journey, and we can't say like, yeah, we are ready, and that's something that we need to look at. Learnability, adaptability, agility are the key for us to like move ahead in this particular kind of an era. And infrastructure is the key. Specifically, if we don't have the infrastructure, it's a problem for a country like ours to become a leader in the space. And then Vishal pointed out by saying regulation, and regulation now, not later, right? When it disrupts in a large way, bringing in regulation, it's a little too late for the government. And finally, Mr. Shantikumar talking again about the society and how is it that we can impact and do a continuous learning specifically so that we are able to like build a community of AI and become a market leader globally. So thank you very much for your valuable time and being a part of the panel.